Alright guys, today's question of the day is one that...
That's not how I was going to start. I said I was going to start. Hey guys, so one of my favorite questions to ask Billy is, what happens if our engine dies? And I'm sure you guys have the same kind of question.
So, this question was... People were always concerned when we were on a sailboat and we were, sailing through the Keys, and they were like, what happens when your engine dies? Well, in a small sailboat, it wasn't really a problem because you can always...
You have sails.
Yeah, you can always sail. Even if there's no wind, there's always a little bit of wind. Even if your mast breaks, you can always rig up some sort of sail. But now that we're on a big trawler with one single diesel engine, people have the same question and they're really concerned about it. Especially Sierra's parents and my parents.
Well, the answer I'm always given is we have the engine on the whaler, so we can tow the trawler with the whaler. And then I ask, what happens if that engine dies? And the answer is...
We're screwed. Yeah, well, that's kind of a last resort. Alright, so what happens if our engine dies? There's a few steps before our engine actually dies. The biggest thing that we do is just prevent the engine from dying. So that is just making sure that the engine is well maintained, prematurely change any parts that need to be changed. We just replaced our oil and transmission coolers and the heat exchanger on the engine. We have a big, it's like an industrial diesel engine. It's a Ford Layman. You find them in tractors and corn combines and things like that. So it's known to be a very industrial engine compared to a lot of gas engines that have a lot more problems. And it's a simple engine. There's no electronics really besides the starter and alternator. Everything's run mechanically, so there's a lot less things that can go wrong. So that's kind of the first step, is just making sure the engine is well maintained and parts are changed out well before that they're going to fail on you. The second thing, what happens when your engine dies, is, well, you got just figure out what went wrong. So, right?
On our way over to the Bahamas, the first 3 hours we were out on our way over, we ran over a huge plastic trash bag and it got stuck in the propeller, and then everything started
or the intake, we're not sure.
And everything started overheating.
Yeah, so on our way over something went wrong, and
of course we have genius over here.
Most things that go wrong, you can figure out what actually went wrong, and there's some sort of solution to it. I mean, that was relatively simple. We put the engine in neutral, and eventually we didn't know what was happening, but then we saw the plastic bag drift out from underneath while it was checking everything. Even still, if you have any other problems, there's always a way to figure out what's wrong and hopefully try and fix it. Especially if you have tools on board and you do the work on the engine yourself, you should kind of understand how it works and be able to fix it. Hopefully. And then I guess we get into the worst case scenario, your engine is not working, it dies, and something complete, you just can't get it to work again, right? And you're crossing the Gulf Stream to the Bahamas or back. So in that case,
in our case, hopefully it's not too rough, and hopefully
our worst case scenario is that we had our big, our 16-foot Boston whaler as a tender. Worst case scenario, we could hook up a big, huge painter line and tow the trawler slowly with the whaler back to some port or somewhere. Yeah, of course, in rough weather, that's gonna suck and it's gonna take a long time, and yeah, so that's worst case scenario. There is one more option there also. If you're relatively close to
Towboat US.
Yeah, I mean, we have Towboat US, so you don't want to rely on them, but they are an option, and it's good to have them as a backup. And they'll go all the way to Bahamian waters. Once you get in Bahamian waters, you have to hire a local Bahamian to tow you to the border of Bahamian and international waters or whatever, and then Towboat US will tow you back. That'd be a long tow. So I hope that if you guys were kind of curious about what happens if your engine dies, that kind of helps your curiosity and answers any questions.
So things are prevention, logic, tow, and Towboat US.
Well, tow
with your tender.
Towboat US and then tow, or vice versa. I don't know. All right, guys. Let us know if you have any more questions, and if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you later.
Night.